Good evening, I'm Andrew Chang. Adrian's on assignment. Tonight, Canada's bleak COVID-19 numbers, unprecedented job losses, and fatality projections hanging in the balance.
We're at a fork in the road between the best and the worst possible outcomes.
At Issue looks at the government's response.
I just worry about my dad and my uncle.
What's going on in Canada's long-term care facilities? Also, the blood test doctors say they need, but the one Canada isn't using. And words of wisdom for stressed out parents of school kids.
The key is to engage them in the things that they're interested in.
Coping strategies for the entire family. This is The National. No matter where you live or what you do, COVID-19 is hitting hard tonight on three fronts: on health, jobs, and the way you get around. Now, the news is tough, the predictions blunt, and all about a pandemic that is yet to hit its peak in Canada. From Statistics Canada, job losses, the likes of which Canada has never recorded. From health officials, new modeling showing tens of thousands could die. And from the Prime Minister, a timeline that is hard to process about just how long this new normal could last. Catherine Cullen starts there.
We can do this together.
He's trying to reassure, but at its heart, the news is bracing. There's a long road ahead.
The initial peak, the top of the curve, may be in late spring, with the end of the first wave in the summer.
And more to come.
There will likely be smaller outbreaks for a number of months after that. This will be the new normal until a vaccine is developed.
Meaning the new normal could last for months, even years.
We are in a very critical time period.
As they unveiled their projections, once again, a warning. How Canadians behave now will determine how deadly this outbreak is. If no containment measures had been taken, an estimated 300,000 Canadians could die over the course of the outbreak. With physical distancing and travel restrictions, the range is from 4,400 to 22,000 deaths from the virus. And so 4,400 deaths has become the scenario they're hoping for.
I wouldn't say the most probable because we don't know that yet. I would say that's the aspirational and our ambitious goal.
To reach that goal, she says it will take more testing and more work to track everyone who is in contact with an infected person. Different places in the country will peak at different times, officials warned, and even then,
on the downward side on the curve, we cannot let go of any of our public health measures. The moment you release anything, the chains of transmission is going to ignite.
The federal government is releasing these numbers today, yes, because of public pressure, but also as a reminder to everyone on this holiday weekend to stay home, because the numbers show that thousands of lives could be at stake. Catherine Cullen, CBC News, Ottawa.
Now, it's hard to overstate how severely COVID-19 has damaged the economy. You see those streets emptier than ever. And now, the worst unemployment figures in decades. Now, keep this in mind as you look at the numbers. A typical month sees about 15,000 job loss claims. But in March, more than 1 million Canadians lost their jobs. At least 2 million had their shifts or hours reduced. Hardest hit, the sales and service sector. 635,000 jobs gone. And just like that, the unemployment rate hits 7.8%. Aaron Saltzman speaks with Canadians dealing with the damage.
People who were laid off were more likely to be female, younger, working in less secure, lower-paying jobs. In other words, those who could least afford it.
It really hit me hard.
Nadina Benez cleans rooms at the Hyatt Regency in Vancouver. On a single income, she was helping support her family back in the Philippines until she and her co-workers were sent home March 15th.
A lot of us were panicking. How are we gonna survive? How are we gonna pay our rent?
Nearly 1/3 of all the job losses in Canada were in the hospitality industry.
Majority of our members are people of color, immigrants, and you know, they do live paycheck to paycheck.
Of the 8,000 workers he represents, 90% were laid off. Ontario and Quebec, with the largest populations, had the most people looking for work, but no region and almost no sector was spared.
We've reached a point where economic analysis falls to the wayside, and we can't help but think about how this is a disastrous and tragic situation.
Alberta, with an economy that had already been lagging for years, is dealing with both the pandemic and collapsing oil prices.
People are just plain scared and don't know whether or not they're going to be able to have a good paycheck to be able to pay their mortgage.
I'm at the end of my career.
The self-employed also struggling. At 57, this Vancouver Pilates instructor worries she may not be able to pick up again when this is all over.
So this might be the end for me. I might just be limping along in poverty for the rest of my life.
Even people still working have had their hours cut. One small positive note, most who were laid off said they expected to get their jobs back within 6 months. Aaron Saltzman, CBC News, Toronto.
So where do we go from here? Well, let's bring in national business correspondent Peter Armstrong. Peter, people already struggling, but how bad does this get?
We can only say, Andrew, that it will get worse. I mean, this survey really only looked at the state of things through March 21st. And remember, it got really bad after that. And from an economics perspective, remember, this isn't just some downturn. This is a shutdown, a unique, unparalleled event. And every time somebody forecasts how bad it's going to be, the end result comes in way worse than even the pessimists had predicted.
The Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, trying to reassure Canadians about all of this. Let's have a listen to what he said today.
Things will get better. And once they do, you can be sure that our country will come roaring back.
And so the question, Peter, how realistic is that?
Well, think to yourself what things are going to look like on the other side of this, months from now. All those people that Aaron Saltzman talked to, hotel workers and restaurant workers, a Pilates gym, when are you going to start going back to those kinds of places? Probably not right out of the gates. You know, they talk about a V-shaped recovery, sharp drop down and sharp drop back up. Maybe it's more of a check mark with a long gradual resumption. That's going to have policy implications, not just for those workers, but for the government as well.
Good insight. Peter, thanks so much.
You bet.
Now, Canadians are also hungry for any news on a viable vaccine as private and public researchers work around the clock. Now, at least 115 vaccine candidates are now in development in labs around the world, including at Vito Intervac. That's a research facility in Saskatoon. And they're one of the first to reach the animal testing stage. If successful, human trials could begin by the fall. But with that long wait for a vaccine, we can't expect the national caseload to keep climbing. And today's surge was dramatic. 1,474 more Canadians have tested positive for COVID-19. The total now closing in on 21,000. And remember, because testing is limited, the actual number of cases is likely much higher. Also, research by CBC News has confirmed a pretty alarming fact. Of the 544 deaths in Canada so far, about half are linked to retirement homes and long-term care homes for the elderly. One obvious reason, older people are more vulnerable, but there are other reasons too. Carolyn Dunn looks at one home where staff are speaking out.
This is as close as Nina Vaughn can get to her 81-year-old mom, Dorothy. Vaughn knows she could surely use a hug.
I had to tell her about her sister's passing on FaceTime, which was really awful.
Dorothy's twin sister, Dean Govro, died this week from COVID-19. 2 more family members are among the dozens of infected residents and staff inside the Mackenzie Town Care Centre. Vaughn's father, Lorne, and her aunt's husband, Sil Govro.
I just worry about my dad and my uncle. You know, are they confused? Are they getting good care?
Vaughn wonders how it got so out of control. 2 nurses on duty during the first week of the outbreak tell CBC News it was chaos. When the first case was confirmed on March 23rd, panicked workers stopped coming in. Understaffing got worse as staff began falling ill. We've agreed to hide the identity of one licensed practical nurse because she fears for her job by speaking out. She says essential cleaning was non-existent at first.
For that whole first week, there wasn't any housekeeping at all. Actually, I myself had to empty garbages from the resident rooms.
Rivera, the company that runs the care home, insists there were always cleaners on duty. The nurses say they weren't using adequate personal protective equipment while caring for residents showing symptoms.
PPE, we were unaware if they had it or not. and we were told by our management that we would only use PPE after it was confirmed that they were a COVID positive case.
Rivera disputes that too, saying staff used personal protective equipment with confirmed and symptomatic residents. It has since increased staffing levels. Alberta Health Services says it's monitoring and supporting the long-term care facility. It's also reviewing the measures the operator Rivera took before the outbreak began. Carolyn Dunn, CBC News, Calgary.
Now, ever since Canada's pandemic first took root in a BC care home, there has been a growing outcry to address the susceptibility of people who live and work in similar places. Starting today, the Ontario government requires that all care home staff wear surgical masks on the job, even if there are no confirmed COVID-19 cases in the building. That's one measure. But what else can be done? Ellen Morrow looks at the hazards and why older homes are the hardest hit.
Outside so many care homes now, signs of remembrance, of gratitude, and of warning.
We've lost a lot of people, and God, I tell you, we love them.
Rebecca Pirinen works at a home where at least 8 people have died. She's sure she has the virus too. We spoke to her right after her test. Pirinen says in older facilities like where she works, it's an unfair fight since many have shared rooms.
The person in the bed next to you could be sick with this virus. The rest of the 3 of them have no choice, no chance.
New homes in Ontario have a maximum of 2 people to a room. In older facilities like Pinecrest Nursing Home, around since the 60s, 4-person rooms are common, making it easier for the virus to spread.
In Ontario, we certainly knew that these older homes needed to be redeveloped. They needed to come up to the new designs. They've been talking about it for many, many years.
Care workers are falling ill too, making chronic understaffing challenges even worse.
Many of them work part-time, don't have paid sick leave, and that necessitates them to work at multiple facilities, which contributes to the spread.
And spread means loss.
It's kind of surreal that we're caught up in this international story.
Mike McCarroll's mother, Ruby, a teacher of 30 years, died last week.
She touched a lot of lives. People that said she was their best teacher that they ever had.
So many lives well lived, now lost to COVID-19. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Toronto.
Ontario expanded its testing criteria today to try to get more done. The focus, healthcare workers and long-term care residents, even those with atypical symptoms.
Nurses, doctors, PSWs, cleaners, anyone that's involved in the healthcare system. But there has to be a priority. Our priority is make sure that we target the long-term care residents and the workers there.
And that includes those without symptoms but who've had a contact with a confirmed case. Testing is key to tracking the spread of the virus and trying to contain it, but Ontario has been falling far short of its lab capacity of 13,000 tests per day. Now, around the world, different kinds of tests are being used to follow the virus's path. And as Vicadopia shows us, there is one from Canada that's finding success, just not in Canada.
At special clinics like this one, it's people with severe symptoms who are getting tested, usually a nasal swab, which needs to go to a lab. This new pinprick blood test takes just 15 minutes. A Canadian company makes a $10 version. Its customer base is hospitals and labs in the US and European Union. Health Canada says it's just not ready for use here.
We have a sister company there in the UK that is literally selling this in the millions. It would be nice to have a base in your home country.
The test doesn't detect the virus itself, but rather the antibodies produced to fight it about a week after a person gets infected, even in people who've never had symptoms. A group of doctors is urging Health Canada to fast-track the approval of the test.
You just have to look at the data coming from other countries to see how wonderfully countries are doing who actually know what's going on, like South Korea.
Health Canada says it's just following the WHO's advice, which recommends the use of these new tests only in research settings. They should not be for clinical decision-making until evidence supporting use for specific indications is available. Even so, Germany is using the test widely on a trial basis to find out who's now immune to the virus. This infectious disease specialist says if it's proven reliable, it could free us from strict quarantine measures.
It would allow us to back off from the sledgehammer, and we could be much more selective in the kind of control measures that we're bringing into play.
Like the science of this coronavirus, testing is still a work in progress. Vic Adopia, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, as the virus's impact continues to be felt around the world, some good news in Britain today. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has been moved out of intensive care.
He continues to make positive steps forwards and he's in good spirits.
Johnson tested positive for COVID-19 2 weeks ago, was hospitalized on Sunday and taken to the ICU a day later. He is now said to be back in a ward where he'll continue to be monitored closely.
New South Wales police officers entered the Ruby Princess to gather evidence.
Australian police in full protective gear were seen boarding a cruise ship from which hundreds of virus-infected passengers disembarked last month. Officers say they've taken the black box and interviewed the captain as part of a homicide investigation into the country's deadliest infection source. At least 15 deaths and 600 cases have been linked to that ship. Well, for the third straight day, New York State posted a record-breaking number of coronavirus deaths, nearly 800. And so many people have died in New York that the governor is bringing in more funeral directors.
If you ever told me that as governor I would have to take these actions, I couldn't even contemplate where we are now.
This is a mass grave being dug on New York's Hart Island. It's long been the place the city buries unidentified or unclaimed bodies, usually about 25 a week. Now, it's 25 a day in the city. The streets are empty, fearful. Susan Ormiston is there.
Times Square, emptied. Even New York cops struck. 1 in 5 has coronavirus. New York is strong, but this test is monstrous. With Broadway shut down, this is the soundtrack. Another grim record overnight. Nearly 800 died statewide, almost double Canada's total deaths.
We've never seen death like this.
Lieutenant paramedic Anthony Almagera is convinced that the actual death rate is even higher.
I think we had 300 cardiac arrests in a day last week. You know, we're up there. You have to add that to the tally. You know, they're not being counted. So the actual number is definitely much higher than what they're reporting.
Masks are everywhere, all kinds of them. Even the guards at Trump Tower on a deserted Fifth Avenue. As the mayor of New York confirmed today, there is still widespread transmission which can't be traced. Councillor Mark Levine's homemade mask is really for others. He's recovered from COVID and urges vigilance.
I'm actually worried that reports that this might be slowing would lead New Yorkers to let their guard down, would lead them to come out of their houses more, would lead them to take their masks off, to socialize more.
Any loosening of restrictions in crowded neighborhoods brings real fear for those who have to work outside like Ariel.
I work because it's very necessary, because we need to pay the rent, but if are supposed my preference, I stay at home.
A fragile but hopeful sign, hospital admissions are dramatically lower today. If that continues, one sign of flattening the curve. Back at Times Square, at best a New York moment. The naked cowboy still out here, impervious.
Coronavirus 2020.
As New Yorkers struggle to reclaim their city.
And Susan is in Times Square tonight. Susan, New York has been at the epicenter for weeks now. How are people responding to the mounting death toll and the uncertainty?
You know, there is unrelenting heartbreak, and the further you go out of Manhattan here to the boroughs, Brooklyn, the Bronx, worse in Queens, everyone knows someone who has the virus, who had it, or has died from it. There are thousands of people in the streets, lots of masks. It just takes that many to keep this city still going, but they share one abiding fear, and that is they'll pick it up still in the community here and take it home to their families. The one thing they're looking for is those hospital admissions to keep going down, Andrew, and only then will they feel like they're emerging from this vice-like grip of the coronavirus.
Susan Ormiston in Times Square. Thank you. Well, Vancouver's most vulnerable neighborhood has its first confirmed case of COVID-19.
It's going to spread like wildfire.
Up next, we take you to the downtown east side. How healthcare workers who are already dealing with the opioid crisis are getting ready for COVID-19. Plus, as the House of Commons gets ready for a weekend debate, Rosie and At Issue discuss how to keep politicians accountable in the midst of a crisis. Plus, trying to figure out homeschooling? You're not alone.
I don't want to have that fight with my kids, especially not now.
Making it work for you and your kids. We're back in 2. Welcome back. Other COVID-related stories making news across the country. An outbreak has been reported at a federal prison in British Columbia's Fraser Valley. Correctional Service Canada says there are now 24 confirmed cases at the Mission Institution. That's a medium security prison with a capacity of 216. They are all now in lockdown. 3 people at the National Microbiology Laboratory in Winnipeg are in isolation after testing positive for COVID-19. That lab is central to Canada's efforts to help find a vaccine. Manitoba Health is now investigating. And one of the country's most vulnerable neighborhoods has confirmed its first positive case. It happened at a transitional home and addiction treatment center in Vancouver's downtown east side. It's not clear how the person contracted the virus, but other clients and staff are now being tested. Now, even without the pandemic, many people in that part of Vancouver's downtown are fighting addiction, they're fighting poverty and other health concerns. Briar Stewart shows us how this latest threat will only make things worse.
The line keeps growing at the Union Gospel Mission.
Put it in there, Mama. There you go. Number 6 feet, please. 6 feet.
One of the only places handing out a hot meal these days.
Thank you, sir. There you go, Hank. Yep.
We're seeing new people who never before have asked us for help in our line because they lost their job, they didn't have supports, and all of a sudden now they're in the downtown east side of Vancouver asking for food or for shelter.
Thank you.
Because of COVID-19, many community centers and libraries have closed.
My main concern is these people in the street have literally no place to go, man. No place.
Sidewalks and alleys remain crowded despite the pleas from public health and even the police.
From what I see, people don't social distance. Myself, if I was still actively using drugs, COVID-19 would be the last thing I cared about. These are provided by Vancouver Coastal Health.
Trey Helton works in overdose prevention. He says sites are running at reduced capacity because they don't want too many people inside at one time. Others fear the threat of COVID-19 is also keeping some away from them.
That really concerns us because we don't think there's a lot of COVID circulating in the downtown east side, but we know that the drugs are still very contaminated.
It's reportedly harder to get drugs now because of border closures. That's one reason why BC has expanded a program to get a synthetic opioid to addicts. They don't want people on the streets trying to buy drugs, particularly if they should be isolating.
Yeah, scary.
Matt Paris hopes to get opioids through the program and is trying to avoid the streets as much as he can.
Keep myself a lot safer, keep more distance and stuff.
But for many down here, that's hard to do. Daily life includes a lot of high risks, and COVID-19 is just one more. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Vancouver.
Okay, next on The National, our nightly segment posing your questions to our panel of doctors. Questions that would include, if I'm biking or jogging in someone's wake, could I get sick? But first, an answer to another question that we've gotten more than a few times. These are hard times, maybe doubly so if you're expecting. But the question for pregnant women, is there twice the risk? Well, first, consider the following, with the caveat that this is what we know today.
It appears from very preliminary research that the virus does not pass from pregnant women to their fetuses, so that's good news.
Though, of course, that's only half the equation. A pregnancy is taxing and can weaken the immune system, but
fortunately, pregnant women do tend to be younger, and there's data supporting that women seem to be a little bit less affected by this than men.
So, the bottom line, to keep yourself healthy?
Women should follow the same advice as for everyone else, but perhaps be a little bit more mindful of social distancing and self-isolating until the frequency and the amount of this virus in the community diminishes.
Welcome back. It's that time in the program where we take more of your COVID-19 questions, so let's get right to it and get through as many of them as we can. Tonight we have infectious diseases specialist Dr. Lenora Saxinger and respirologist Dr. Samir Gupta. Hello to the two of you. Dr. Gupta, why don't you start us off? Here's the first question coming at you. If I'm biking or jogging in someone's wake, could I get sick? And I guess they're thinking if they smell them or their sweat or even their perfume? I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you smell someone, you're not going to catch the virus from being able to smell them. The smell is really transported by chemicals. The virus is transported by those droplets we talked about. A couple of things when you're jogging, you are breathing more heavily, so those droplets are going a bit further. The other thing is, if you're jogging on a windy day, you really have to think about how far those droplets are being carried by the wind. That sort of 6-foot rule is a good rule of thumb, but under certain conditions, they probably can go further. So think about that on a windy day mostly.
Dr. Saxinger, I mean, that's interesting. Is being outside almost a risk factor in and of itself?
Being outside actually is maybe protective. We don't know for sure, but outside you have really good air exchange, and so you're not going to be sharing airspace in the same way you would with a really enclosed space. And also the extra UV light and stuff might actually be useful. So compared to like old-time diseases like TB and influenza, it was thought to be useful to be outside. So I would want to encourage people to be responsible, but to go outside. And if you're sick, though, stay home.
Right. Dr. Saxinger, why don't you take this next question? Is it safe to wear contact lenses, touching your eyes?
Now, eyes are a place where you could theoretically get inoculated with the virus. The way to protect against that concern is to actually wash your hands extremely well with soap and water for 20 seconds before handling your contacts and putting them in. I will confess that I've been wearing my glasses more often when I'm at work because it does provide a measure of protection against droplets when you're in closer quarters. But if you're distancing, there's really no disadvantage to contacts. Just wash your hands.
I was wondering that very question, whether glasses, sort of conversely, as you're pointing out, actually do offer protection. Is there any study to that effect?
I think it's just understood that wearing a barrier in front of your eyes might decrease the risk of a direct kind of splash of potentially infectious droplet to the eyes. Now, glasses are not goggles. They don't actually block you from all sides, and so the protection is only partial. And so healthcare workers, for example, aren't relying on their glasses. They should still use a face shield, but for everyday use, glasses might be a little bit of a benefit. And of course, the other thing is, whatever you do, don't be touching your eyes or your contacts or anything excessively or unnecessarily.
Really interesting answers to the questions. Dr. Saxinger, Dr. Gupta, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks.
And as we've mentioned, we will be asking your questions about COVID-19 every night going forward, so send us the questions you have. You can message us directly on Instagram at CBC The National, or you can send us an email at covid@cbc.ca. Just put The National in the subject line. Still ahead on The National, figuring out homeschooling. Coming up, what two parents who are also teachers are doing. You might be surprised. But first, Rosie is here with that issue.
Andrew, tonight we're talking about just how sustainable this new reality is. Record job losses now, millions receiving government aid, and maybe virtual parliament. Andrew, Chantal, and Althea will join us right after the break.
We've all seen the impact of COVID-19. We all knew this was going to be a tough time. That's no comfort if you're out of a job, if you're having difficulty making ends meet.
COVID-19 is creating, of course, a stark economic picture for this country. More than 1 million Canadians lost their job just last month. More than 5 million have applied for the CERB, and the impact obviously far from over. How sustainable is this new reality? It's Thursday, and I'm here with At Issue. Chantal Hébert is in Montreal, Andrew Coyne is in Toronto, and Althea Raj is in Ottawa, all working remotely from their homes. And this is the only way I know it's Thursday, I have to be honest with you. Okay, the Prime Minister talked today most bluntly about some of these timelines, talking about a new normal. How long can a new normal exist in terms of trying to sustain the economy and a strong economy? Andrew, maybe I'll start with you this week.
Well, if you mean this level of lockdown, is not sustainable for very long. What we saw today in terms of the unemployment numbers is just the tip of the iceberg. That was a part of March. The April numbers are going to be much worse. And every day this carries on, the joblessness is going to amount, the Failing corporations are going to mount up. The debts to the public sector, to the provincial and particularly the federal government, are going to mount. And just the human toll in terms of psychological consequences, people with mental health issues, it's not sustainable in the long run. The good news is, at least from the country's perspective, is that the rate of growth of the epidemic is slowing, and slowing quite markedly. That's a challenge for the government because they don't want people to look at that data and say, okay, now we can let down our guard, now we can ease off, now we can backslide.
Yeah, and that's probably needed because a backslide, as you point out, Chantal, would probably be the worst thing for everybody.
Yes, except that at some point, if you want out of this, and no, I don't think the current situation is sustainable for 18 to 24 months, and I don't think that is what governments have in mind in any way, shape, or form. But if you want to start getting out of it, Quebec, for instance, has been talking about restarting the economy. That's really hard to do in a serious fashion unless you reopen schools or you make childcare available again. And once you say that, I was listening to Premier Legault talking about maintaining the 2-meter distance. Well, there's one place, as you know and I know, where 2 meters distance is not going to be maintained. That's a classroom.
That's for sure. Althea, how do you make of, what do you make of how they're dealing with this in terms of the length we might be looking at?
It was very interesting. Today, in speaking in French, the Prime Minister suggested that this could be the new normal for a year and a half. He didn't outline exactly what he meant by the new normal during that time frame, and I think that there will be a lot of filling in of the gaps in the days ahead in terms of kind of just leaving that comment hanging. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's sustainable. I mean, it's very interesting that now you're actually hearing different themes emerging from the provinces and the federal government. Like the provinces are distinct from each other in terms of like when we think we can get the economy rolling again. When you think that the business subsidy hasn't even been passed yet, and money certainly is not going out the door.
Well, that brings up the wage subsidy. So it seems as though Parliament is now going to come back on Saturday. They've agreed to come back and look at that legislation. And the government says that this is sort of the biggest package, they say, in history, economic package in history. How important is that to shoring up businesses for the future of the economy, Andrew?
Oh, it's vitally important. They've made that very clear. The business has. The idea being to try and keep people actually connected to their employers rather than drifting away from the firm and having to, find them and find new people all over again once the economy starts going again. So a lot of people have been of the view that even taking into account the potential for waste and fraud in that particular program, it's worth doing. But we don't need to jettison parliamentary or democratic procedures either. And some ingenuity and some willingness to establish new precedents. I think we should be able to find a way that we can still have parliamentary scrutiny of the government and ability for people to criticize the ministers of the day. I mean, it's not only the procedures that we have to keep intact, we have to also keep intact the idea that it's legitimate to criticize people in authority, even in the middle of a crisis. And you get some people saying, oh, rally around the flag, any kind of criticism is off base. That's not true.
Although,
yes, go ahead, Chantal, yeah.
Although I believe that the more vigorous discussion about the way forward, because there will have to be a vigorous discussion about the way forward, is not being preempted by having Parliament sit for a day at this point. The other issue about ingenuity is I believe that, yes, Parliament should have some form of life, but I don't believe that it should be restricted to people who can drive to Parliament Hill.
I will say the government is again sending a plane to pick up a few Conservatives, including Andrew Scheer. But obviously, it's not going to, fly across the country to get a good representation. And it's a little strange that this idea of a virtual parliament or some version of that doesn't seem to be the most welcome idea, Althea.
I mean, it's a little bit odd. I think, I have a point of view on this. It's a bit contrarian to what I would normally argue, but I don't think the opposition is being stifled. I mean, we have the Prime Minister having a 45-minute press conference every day. The Cabinet Minister is having another press conference for about an hour. We have the leader of the official opposition. Whenever he speaks, it is covered by the media. It is on national television. I listened to two House of Commons committee meetings for hours today. I'm not saying that there is not a time for a question period, but whether that should really be a negotiation tactic for getting money out the door, when perhaps what the opposition party should be focused more on is the content of the legislation.
Last point.
We should be having a discussion about policy rather than having a discussion about politics. I don't think anybody outside of Ottawa really cares about politics at this point.
Last point to Andrew.
Well, I would say part of democratic accountability is politics, is the theater of Parliament. Now, maybe we can't have them physically present. Maybe it has to be done virtually. But that's what concentrates public attention. That's why Parliament was invented. We don't just have news conferences and dueling news conferences. We actually have them meeting each other, whether virtually or physically, in a way that the public can pay attention to and be drawn into.
One more point to Chantal, because I can see she wants to say something.
Well, I'm not convinced that that message that Andrew is communicating is the way the public perceives it. To many Canadians, this is more about games than it is about what it really needs to be done. So whether it would draw the public's attention to that debate at this particular juncture in that way, with the government sharing its bills with the opposition, and actually putting in opposition ideas in the bill, I'm not convinced that the theater at this point would be well attended, as bored as we may be.
All right, got to leave it there. Thank you all for dialing in from your homes. Before we go, of course, be sure to subscribe to At Issue, the podcast. We do this, and there's always some extra content there, too. This week, we'll talk a little bit about those national projections and how important those numbers are to Canadians. Look for it on any major podcast app and our website, cbcnews.ca/The National. For now, though, back to Andrew in Toronto.
And coming up on The National, the big question many parents are grappling with right now. Are my kids going to fall behind? But next, some comforting advice from moms who are also teachers.
Whether we're playing a Scrabble game and they're doing language and math, adding up their scores.
Their stories and solutions right after this. But first, COVID-19 has changed everything for everyone. And we've been asking people to share a little bit of what life looks like right now. Here's tonight's Pandemic Diary.
I am Ritika Dubey. I am an international student from India. I've been so anxious in the past 2 weeks. My classes moved online and some of my major courses got cancelled, and then I got laid off at work. My life was suddenly upside down. I sometimes just feel very helpless. Most of us are all alone by ourselves here. My landlady she's exactly what I've heard of Canadians to be like. She waived off $100 from my rent, and she's supporting me with my groceries and providing me with food because she cares. And I think I'm seeing exactly what I was told about Canada and Canadians.
Well, as COVID-19 continues to spread, it's looking less and less likely that Canadian schools will reopen anytime soon. In New Brunswick, the whole school year is already called off. Quebec and Ontario schools are among those closed at least into May, and many others don't even have a return date in mind. That puts parents in a very difficult position, having to juggle family, health, work, finances, and now their children's education. But there is a school of thought that even those who teach for a living are embracing, particularly when it comes to younger kids.
We're staying home. We're staying home. We're staying home. We're staying home.
It's been an adjustment for everyone.
'Cause it's the right thing to do.
Even the creator of CBC's Gary the Unicorn has had to adapt.
Aloha! Gary here.
Educational programming like this are among the resources parents have been pointed to, and one common thread, they're all just making do precisely the way the rest of us are.
Okay, let's go.
Sue Kuitsian is a mother of 2.
Okay.
But she's also an elementary school teacher.
I'm Sue.
She started a Facebook page sharing ways to keep kids learning at home, from virtual field trips to celebrity story times, even learning with Lego.
I realized that as educators, there can be a difference between the resources we would use in the classroom and to deliver the curriculum and resources that would be valuable to parents.
So you don't think it's such a good idea for parents to try to take on this role of full-time teacher and teach in a more formal way, math, English, history, geography, and so on?
I think that would be very challenging for even a teacher at home with their kids.
So Sue and her kids play.
Whether we're playing a Scrabble game and they're doing language and math, adding up their scores, or just even a simple game of Crazy Eights.
Can you tilt your camera down? And this is Stephanie Lefebvre, also a mother, also a teacher, although not right now.
I don't want to have that fight with my kids, especially not now when things are so stressful anyway. So I think if the key is to engage them in the things that they're interested in.
The STEM project I did is the model crane.
So whether it's a countertop crane,
when we pour the cabbage solution into the oil,
or a little bit of kitchen chemistry. She says allowing kids to dictate the curriculum and pursue it at their own pace goes a long way. And she's not worried her kids or yours are falling behind.
When schools do start again, all the students will be in the same boat. So teachers are going to have to meet their students where they're coming in at. And that's what we do all the time. And while the lights may have temporarily dimmed here at Studio K, they're still trying to help kids understand the changes that the world around them's going through.
We're staying home.
You're a professional, right? Like you understand how kids' minds work, you understand how to reach them. What is the advice you would give to parents?
Not shield children from the truth, because shielding does not sort of help, but to inform them, but also know that everything's going to be okay.
This pump's for you.
So at least where education is concerned, just take a breath and take things day by day. Now, keeping kids entertained at home is a challenge. We asked how you and your family are passing the time, and here's a taste of what you told us.
How's the beach party?
Balloons!
Hooray! Did you guys have a good sleep?
Today we got new kittens. We love them so much.
Go, Maddie, go!
What the heck?
Okay, next on The National, another idea for the kids, have them write a letter to someone they admire, like, you know, a provincial health officer. In our moment, the little girl who's become pen pals with BC's Dr. Bonnie Henry. Well, you might think Dr. Bonnie Henry, BC's medical health officer, would have her hands entirely full, what with handling the COVID-19 outbreak and all. But when a surprise request came her way, she managed to find some time to answer. A young girl reached out, worried about whether or not her birthday party could go on. And to her surprise and delight, Dr. Henry responded, and that is our moment.
First I wrote to Justin Trudeau, but I didn't get the answer I was looking for because he was too busy.
We decided that maybe we could try Dr. Bonnie Henry.
Hi, Dr. Henry. It's my birthday next month. How will the coronavirus affect my birthday? Will I be able to have a normal birthday party? I got an answer and I wasn't expecting one.
So our response was, "Hello, Sasha. Thank you for your note. I do know how hard it can be for young people during these difficult times. I hope that you have a very special day despite the coronavirus. My best, Bonnie." Every day for a few days, you know, she would wonder, well, what's going to happen with my birthday? How are things going to go? And after we got a response and had a sort of strategy for moving forward, I think that it relieved a lot of that anxiety, and I haven't been asked since.
I will say, you know, letters from people you admire have this weird way of leaving a permanent mark on the mind. I still remember as a kid, I got a letter from my city's mayor that I was to win a music award of all things. I still have no idea what happened to that award, but I framed the letter and I think about it all the time. That's The National for this Thursday, April 9th. Have a good night.